After studying this chapter, you should be able to: first, explain the role of the National Tourism Office, its attached agencies and the local government units in the tourism industry. Second, describe the participation of the other national government agencies in the tourism industry. Third, classify and describe the role of the private sector and its various industries that comprise the tourism industry. Fourth, identify specific entities in the private sector and explain their specific function in the tourism industry. And fifth, understand the role of the Tourism Congress as representing the private sector in tourism governance. The tourism industry is a composite of industries and entities, both public and private, involved in the planning, development, marketing, sales, operation, and evaluation of destinations, products and services that cater to the needs of the travelers, both foreign and domestic. The tourism industry caters to the needs of both foreign and domestic travelers, not necessarily tourists. Not all tourists are foreigners, white, blonde and blue-eyed. Any individual who undertakes a journey that exceeds 24 hours, example an overnight stay, outside his/her regular place of residence, for purposes other than earning a living, is considered a tourist. Planning and development of destinations, in its broadest sense, is primarily a role of the government sector. In its narrowest sense, such as the planning and development of a specific tour product, it is often undertaken by individual private sector entities. The marketing of the Philippines and its various destinations is primarily undertaken by the government sector, while private sector entities undertake the marketing and sale of specific products and services. The operation of tour products is primarily the role of the private sector, while the delivery of tourism services is a joint function of both the government and the private sector. Both the government and the private sector undertake the evaluation of tourism results vis-a-vis predetermined, specific objectives. The government sector of the tourism industry is responsible for the formulation of tourism policies, plans and programs. It provides guidelines for the selection and development of destinations, promotes travel to and investments in the Philippines and regulates the industry, in collaboration with other government agencies. The sector is subdivided into the national government agencies and the local government units. 5. Government agencies directly involved in the tourism industry are, the Department of Tourism, the Philippine Tourism Promotions Board, PTPB, the Tourism Infrastructure and Enterprise Zone Authority, TIZA, the Duty-Free Philippines Corporation, DFPC, and the municipal, city and provincial local government units, LGUs. Established by virtue of Presidential Decree No. 189 in 1973, the Department of Tourism was reorganized into its former setup by Executive Order No. 120, in accordance with Article 2, Section I and Article 3 of the Freedom Constitution of 19,865. The Department of Tourism is reorganized into its present setup in accordance with Section 107 of Republic Act 9593, otherwise known as the Tourism Act of 2009, and the promulgation of its implementing rule and regulations, as published in November of 2009. In Section 4 of the the Department of Tourism, as the national government's organization overseeing the country's tourism industry, is mandated to be the primary planning, programming, coordinating, implementing and regulatory government agency in the development and promotion of the tourism industry, both domestic and international, in coordination with its attached agencies and other government instrumentalities. It shall instill in the Filipino the industry's fundamental importance in the generation of employment, investments, and foreign exchange. 19. Stated powers and functions 7 of the Department of Tourism. These can be summarized as follows. A. Formulate, coordinate, implement, and supervise tourism policies, plans and projects for the development of tourism as an engine of socio-economic and cultural growth, and in consultation with the LGUs, the private sector industries and other industry stakeholders, rules and regulations governing the operation and activities of all tourism enterprises. B. Support, advance, and promote the protection, maintenance and preservations of historical, cultural, and natural endowments in cooperation with the appropriate government agencies and the private sector, and take appropriate measures against acts or omissions contrary to these objectives. C. Provide an integrated marketing program and represent the government in all tourism conferences, multilateral and bilateral tourism-related treaties and agreements and ensuring the government's compliance and obligations arising from these. D. Evaluate tourism development projects for the issuance of permits and the granting of incentives by the appropriate government agencies, and encourage private sector investments and participation in tourism-related projects. E. Provide technical assistance to the LGUs in destination development, standards setting and regulatory enforcement, and monitor the LGUs' compliance to national standards in the licensing of tourism enterprises, and F. Perform other public sector services to the tourism industry such as tourism research and studies, compilation and integration of data, facilitate the process of obtaining travel documentation and monitor conditions on any destination and issue timely advisories on the safety or viability of travel. The department consists of the department proper, department offices, services and units, and the regional and foreign offices. The department, like all other national government agencies, is headed by a cabinet rank secretary, 3 under-secretaries with specific functions, each with an assistant secretary. The office of the secretary provides leadership, direction, and substance to the overall operations of the department. It formulates policies, plans, programs, rules, and regulations. Reviews and evaluates the performance of the Tourism Master Plan, and advises the President on all matters affecting the tourism program of the country. The tourism promotion sector has the primary function of promoting the Philippines as a tourist destination domestically and internationally. It devises integrated marketing and promotional activities such as information dissemination, public relations, special events, and related tourism programs. It likewise supervises the overseas field offices established to implement and enhance the tourism development and promotion program of the department in the international field. Tourism Services and Regional Offices Sector. The Tourism Services and Regional Offices sector is tasked to ensure the pleasant entry, stay, and exit of tourists. It formulates standards of quantity and efficiency for tourism-oriented establishments, among others, done through an accreditation system. Tourist establishments' compliance to policies are monitored to make sure that their facilities and services are operated and maintained according to acceptable international norms. The sector also supervises regional operations established to implement the policies, plans, programs, and regulations of the department and to maintain the delivery of efficient and effective frontline services for the tourism industry. Planning, product development, and coordination. The tourism planning, product development, and coordination sector is responsible for the formulation and updating of the Tourism Master Plan, together with its component programs. The sector monitors the effective implementation of the Tourism Master Plan and, in coordination with the private sector and other government institutions, develops and conceptualizes new products and investment opportunities designed to enhance tourist sites and facilities. The Internal Services sector ensures the smooth and legal functioning of the operations of the department through the provision of effective and efficient advice and services in the areas of personnel management, human resources development, general services administration, computerization and information technology services, budgetary, financial and management services, and including investigatory and advisory services. Philippine Tourism Promotions Board. Presidential Decree No. 867, promulgated in 1976, created the Philippine Convention Bureau, PCB, a government agency. This bureau was transformed into a non-profit corporation by virtue of Presidential Decree No. 1448 in June 1978.8. Simultaneously with the reorganization of the Department of Tourism in 1987, the PCB was reorganized and renamed the Philippine Convention and Visitors Corporation. These changes were effected through Executive Order No. 120 for the Department of Tourism and EO No. 120A for the PCVC. Under RA 9593, the PCVC is reorganized as the PTPB, and is mandated to be responsible for marketing and promoting the Philippines domestically and internationally as a major global destination, highlighting the uniqueness and assisting the development of its tourism products and services, with the end in view of increasing tourism arrivals and tourism investments, marketing the Philippines as a major meetings, incentives, conventions, and exhibitions, MICE, destination, attracting, promoting, and servicing large-scale events, international fairs, conventions, congresses, sports competitions, expositions, and the like, ensuring the regular local and international advertising of the country's major tourism destinations and other products, including TESAs, and providing incentives to travel agencies, tour operators, wholesalers and investors abroad capable of drawing a sizable number of tourists and tourism investments to the country. 9. The Marketing and Promotions Unit is responsible for undertaking the key mandate of TPB, which is to market and promote the Philippines domestically and internationally as a major global destination, highlighting the uniqueness and assisting the development of its tourism products and services, with the end view of increasing tourism arrivals and tourism investments. To achieve these objectives, the International Promotions Department is in charge of organizing Philippine participation in overseas travel, trade and consumer fairs, exhibitions, and events, and undertaking other overseas marketing and promotional activities such as, but not limited to, sales missions and presentations in key markets with the objective of creating awareness on, and generate consumer demand for, the Philippines. The PTPB has the general powers of a corporation as provided under the Corporate Code. The functions of the PTPB are summarized as follows. A. Develop and implement a plan to market the Philippines as a premier tourism destination, and develop and promote the Philippines as a center for international meetings, incentive programs, conventions, exhibitions, sports and wellness, medical tourism and other special events. B. Direct and coordinate the resources and efforts of the government and the private sector in the tourism and allied fields for the full realization of the tourism plans and programs, and engage in the business of tourism and perform such acts in consonance therewith. C. Contract loans, indebtedness, and credit, and issue commercial papers and bonds in a convertible currency from foreign governments and financial institutions, and local or foreign commercial banks or similar institutions, execute any deed of guarantee, mortgage, pledge, trust, or assignment of any property for the purpose of financing the program and projects deemed vital for the early attainment of its goals and objective, receive donations, grants, bequests, and assistance of all kinds, from local and foreign governments, and private sector, and utilize same, and extend loans through government banks and financial assistance for manpower training, heritage preservation, infrastructure development, and other programs of the department, and D. Obtain the services of local and foreign consultants and enter into contracts locally and abroad in the performance of its functions. In addition to the above, the PTPB may determine and authorize the designation and assignment of marketing coordinators 10 in the department's foreign and regional offices to coordinate and implement the international and domestic tourism promotional programs. The Office of the Chief Operating Officer, OCOO, executes agency management policies and supervises the operations of the TPB. It ensures that all policies, programs, and measures approved by the board are executed and administered properly. The OCOO works closely with the Department of Tourism Secretary to ensure that the TPB plans and programs are aligned and carried out based on the directives of the department. The OCOO also ensures that the strategic marketing plans are duly implemented, and reports to the Tourism Board the status of TPB's implementation. The legal department ensures TPB's compliance with all regulatory and legal requirements in implementing TPB's work programs and activities. The department provides legal advice and assistance to TPB's transactions that promote transparency and adherence to applicable laws. The Corporate Planning and Business Development Department, CPBD, works closely with other departments to ensure that TPB's strategic objectives are met and measured. The CPBD monitors and evaluates the performance of the departments as well as ensures compliance with the requirements of the regulatory bodies. The department also implements the Corporate Social Responsibility Program of TPB in coordination with the government and private stakeholders. Engages the services of external providers for the conduct of market research, surveys, and studies, and consolidates and prepares the TPB annual report as an accomplishment report for the board and stakeholders. Furthermore, the CPBD participates in business opportunities as part of its function in providing revenues to TPB. The department also implements the Corporate Social Responsibility Program of TPB in coordination with the government and private stakeholders. Engages the services of external providers for the conduct of market research, surveys, and studies, and consolidates and prepares the TPB annual report as an accomplishment report for the board and stakeholders. Furthermore, the CPBD participates in business opportunities as part of its function in providing revenues to TPB. The Management Information Systems Department implements the ICT requirements of TPB in close coordination with the department's needs. It ensures that all information systems and hardware are fully supported and updated. The Philippine Tourism Authority, PDA, created on May 11, 1973 pursuant to Presidential Decree No. 189 as amended by Presidential Decree No. 564 is reorganized as the TISA attached to the department for purposes of policy and program coordination by virtue of the implementing rules and regulations of RA 9593. The TISA is mandated to designate, regulate and supervise the Tourism Enterprise Zone, TEZ. To develop, manage, and supervise tourism infrastructure projects in the country. 3. Supervise and regulate the cultural, economic, and environmentally sustainable development of TEZs towards the primary objective of encouraging investments therein. 4. Ensure strict compliance by the TEZ operator with approved development plan. Continue to exercise functions previously exercised by the PDA under Presidential Decree No. 564, unless otherwise inconsistent with the other provisions of this Act. Implementing arm of the Department of Tourism. Develop tourist zones. Assist private enterprise. Operate and maintain tourist facilities. Assure land availability. Coordinate all tourist project plans and operations. Tourism enterprise zones are any geographical areas that conform to the following criteria. Capable of being defined in one contiguous territory, has historical and cultural significance, environmental beauty, or existing or potential integrated leisure facilities within its boundary or reasonable distance thereof. Has, or may have, strategic access through transportation infrastructure, and reasonable connection with utilities infrastructure systems. It is sufficient in size, such that it may be further utilized for bringing in new investments in tourism establishments and services, and it is in a strategic location such as catalyze the socio-economic development of neighboring communities. A TEZ is designated by the TISA, upon the recommendation of any LGU or private entity, or through joint venture between the public and the private sector. Each TEZ is administered and supervised by a TEZ operator, an entity duly incorporated under the Corporation Code or an LGU in pursuit of its mandate, where capital may be provided by LGUs and/or private entities. The Board of Directors of the TES operator appoints a TES administrator, who is responsible for the implementation of the policies, plans and projects of the TES. The Philippine Retirement Authority, PRA, is a government-owned and controlled corporation created by virtue of Executive Order No. 1037, signed by former President Ferdinand E. Marcos on July 4, 1985. On August 31, 2001, through Executive Order No. 26, the control and supervision of PRA was transferred to the Board of Investments, Department of Trade and Industry from the Office of the President. On May 12, 2009, Republic Act No. 9593, otherwise known as Tourism Act of 2009, PRA became an attached agency of the Department of Tourism and placed under the supervision of the Secretary. PRA is mandated to develop and promote the Philippines as retirement haven as a means of accelerating the social and economic development of the country, strengthening its foreign exchange position at the same time providing further best quality of life to the targeted retirees in a most attractive package. The exclusive franchise to operate duty and tax-free shops was originally granted to a private corporation called Tourist Duty Free Shops Incorporated, TDFS. TDFS was authorized to establish, operate, and maintain duty and tax-free stores at all international airports and seaports, selected hotels, tourist resorts, and commercial or trading centers throughout the country for a period of 25 years. This franchise was revoked by Executive Order No. 24 dated June 27, 1986. Duty-Free Philippines Corporation is a government corporation that operates the duty and tax-free merchandising system in the Philippines to augment the service facilities for tourist and returning Filipino travelers to generate foreign exchange and revenues for the government. Its powers and functions include exclusive authority to operate and/or franchise out the operation of stores and shops that sell duty and tax-free items in international air and sea ports and in TES. Authority to operate stores within the international air and sea ports, and operate without any prejudice to any privatization in the future. The local government units, by virtue of the Local Government Code of 1991, in particular Sector 447, 4, for the municipalities and Sector 457, 4, for chartered cities, which are pursuant to Sector 16 and Sector 22 of the Code, herein quoted in full stating: regulate the establishment, operation, and maintenance of cafes, restaurants, beer houses, hotels, motels, inns, pension houses, lodging houses, and other similar establishments, including tourist guides and transports. The LGU is empowered to regulate the establishment and operation of travel agencies in the context of the above stated paragraph. This table shows the different powers of each LGU. The municipality has a specific powers that has direct impact to locals, such as establishment of all tourism facilities. They develop local tourist attractions that needs different equipment and facilities to fully operate and functional to attract domestic and international tourists. It also regulates concessions and security services of different businesses related to tourism. For province, they are the one who develops and promote tourism programs such as enhancing deteriorated attractions or create new leisure and recreation activities within the province, while the city has power to both municipality and the province in developing and boost its tourism. There are other national government agencies that indirectly participate in the tourism industry in the course of day-to-day activities. The most important of these is the Department of Transportation and Communications, since without transportation there is no travel and without travel there is no tourism. The Department of Transportation and Communications, DOTC, www.dots.gov.ph, which is responsible for the regulation and supervision of the transportation and communications industries, through the Civil Aeronautics Board, CAB, which regulates the economic aspect of air transportation. The Civil Aviation Authority of the Philippines, CAAP, formerly known as Air Transportation Office, ATO, which establishes minimum safety standards for air carriers. The Maritime Industry Authority, MARINA, which is the policy-making agency on maritime safety. The Philippine Ports Authority, PPA, which integrates and coordinates port planning, development, control, and operations, and the Land Transportation Franchise and Regulatory Board, LTFRB, which issues, suspends and cancels Certificate of Public Convenience of public land transportation services provided by motorized vehicles, among others. Others equally involved in the course of their day-to-day functions are the Department of Public Works and Highways, which is responsible for all safety of projects in the field of public works. It oversees of the construction, maintenance, and repairs country's infrastructure, including the national road network, bridges, and irrigation. The Department of Environment and Natural Resources, which is responsible for governing and supervising the exploration, development, utilization, and protection and conservation of the environment and all of the county's natural resources. The Department of Foreign Affairs is tasked to contribute to the enhancement of national security and the protection of the territorial integrity and national sovereignty, and to develop and maintain friendly and harmonious relations with other countries. The Department of Trade and Industry is tasked to expand Philippine trade, industries, and investments as the means to generate jobs and raise incomes for Filipinos. It also oversees the retail industry for the manufacturing, merchandising and distribution of Filipino handicrafts and products. The Department of Interior and Local Government is responsible for promoting peace and order, ensure public safety, and strengthen the capabilities of all local government units. It supervises the Philippine National Police, PNP, and others, such as the Department of Justice, responsible for upholding the rule of law, under which the Bureau of Immigration regulates the entry and exit of foreign nationals, and the Department of Finance, which is responsible for the formulation, institutionalization, and administration of fiscal policies in coordination with other government agencies. It generates revenues collections through the Bureau of Internal Revenue and Bureau of Customs. The private sector. In the private sector, the six principal industries directly involved in tourism are the transportation industry, air, sea, land; the lodging industry or hostelry industry, hotels, resorts, inns, motels, lodging/pension houses, apartment hotels; food and beverage, restaurants, disco, travel food service and institutional food service; the activities and attractions industry or entertainment industry, museums, theaters, theme parks, adventure clubs, dive shops; the travel trade, travel agents, tour operators, and tour guides; other private sector entities. The transportation industry. The transportation sector, specifically passenger transportation or passage, plays the most important role in the industry, since without travel, there is no tourism. This sector comprises all entities involved in the transportation of people, mail, and parcels, and goods, from a point of origin to a destination point, or number of destination points, and back to the point of origin. Air transportation involves companies providing scheduled services. Airports, airfields, and airstrips are an integral part of this sector. Since the introduction of jet air services and the jumbo jets, the airline industry has revolutionized travel, making it more efficient and affordable for travelers. The airline industry is incredibly efficient. An individual may book a flight to a desired destination, pay for the ticket in the local currency, check in at the airport and fly to the destination, regardless of the stops, in one go without any hassle. Nowadays the reservation, payment, and issuance of the air ticket are possible even online at home. See The sector also includes all water transportation operators, whether salt or fresh water service, and the land-based facilities required for these, such as ports, piers and wharves. Sea travel is categorized into shipping and cruising. Their basic differences are: shipping has the following products and services offered: passengers and cargo, fixed point-to-point routes, full facilities, limited amenities, limited port facilities, domestic in nature, while cruising offers products and services: passengers only, flexible circle routes, full facilities, full amenities, excellent port facilities, international in scope, opportunity shore excursions, land. All land transportation entities ranges from rail and road. Train terminals, bus depot, gasoline stations, highways, railroads, roads, bridges, and the maintenance of these are essential to this sub-sector. The lodging industry. Throughout time, lodging establishments have offered travelers a place to stay, however they do not all offer the same services. Each has its own identity, operating style, goals, and loyal following. The lodging industry or hostelry sector is made up of hotels, resorts, motor hotels, pension houses, dormitories and inns. These are establishments primarily engaged in providing lodging or lodging with meals to the general public. Trailer parks and campsites, although also catering to lodging needs of travelers, have a different operating structure and as such will not be included in this category. The lodging industry. Throughout time, lodging establishments have offered travelers a place to stay, however they do not all offer the same services. Each has its own identity, operating style, goals, and loyal following. The lodging industry or hostelry sector is made up of hotels, resorts, motor hotels, pension houses, dormitories and inns. These are establishments primarily engaged in providing lodging or lodging with meals to the general public. Trailer parks and campsites, although also catering to lodging needs of travelers, have a different operating structure and as such will not be included in this category. Operating standards determine the categorization of lodging establishment as 5-star or deluxe, 4-star or first class, 3-star or standard, 2-star or economy/tourist, and I-star or budget hotels. Resorts, on the other hand, are categorized as AAA for deluxe, AA for first class, A for standard, and special interest resorts, such as those for diving. Categories are also based on the room types such as twin, double, triple, quad or single occupancy room. Room categories are also based on standard, superior and deluxe, or in resorts these may be classified as sea view, mountain view, and the like. Lodging classifications. Hotels, resorts, motels, all-suite hotels, convention hotels, spa. Other lodging types, these include homestays, hostels, boarding houses, hunting and skiing lodges, condominium hotels and casino hotels that offers specific needs and wants of the target market. The food and beverage industry. This industry involves all eating and drinking places. Eating and drinking are favorite pastime of travelers, and the food and beverage industry would face difficult times without the tourist market. The food and beverage industry, or F&B for short, consists of restaurants, travel food service and vending and contract institutional food service. Restaurants are made up of establishments that include fast food units, coffee shops, specialty restaurants, family restaurants, cafeterias, and full-service restaurants with carefully orchestrated ambience. Travel food service consists of food operations in hotels and motels, roadside service to automobile travelers, and all food service on airplanes, trains, and ships. Institutional food service in companies, hospitals, nursing homes, and so on is not considered part of the tourism industry. The attractions and activities industry. The latest addition to the tourism industry is the activities and attractions industry, also referred to as the entertainment, recreation, or leisure sector, which is best exemplified by theme parks, such as Enchanted Kingdom and Ocean Park, and the shopping malls, nightclubs, restaurants, and the like. It comprises all sites, destinations, and organizations that offer attractions and provide entertainment to the travelers. These also include museums, cultural villages, fast food centers, disco houses, experiences, events, and the like. The attractions industry includes natural and developed, man-made, attractions that are what drives much of humanity to travel. This sector also includes theme parks, entertainment parks, amusement park, museum, zoos, music festival, industry exhibit, arboretum plantation, Hall of Fame, water show, sports complex, cultural center, national parks, and city parks. Natural attractions, botanical, zoological, mountain, seaside parks are wonders that lure travelers to enjoy the natural beauty and the inspiration they provide. For example, Pangasinan's 100 Islands, Alba Ismayon Volcano, Boal's Chocolate Hills, Palawan's Underground River. Man-made attractions, historic sites, prehistory, archaeological sites, cultural, religious festivals inspired to learn more about contemporary and long-vanished civilizations. For example, the walled city of Intramuros, the Ifugayos Rice Terraces, Cebu's Santo Niño Cathedral and Iloilo's Jairo Cathedral. Activities, recreation and entertainment, industry. Leisure is defined as freedom resulting from the stoppage of work activities. Leisure is time that is free from work or duties. Leisure activities may be classified as participatory and passive. Recreation is defined as refreshment of strength and spirit after work and mean of diversion. Examples of recreational facilities are theme parks, resorts, casinos, cruises, spas and health clubs. Leisure and recreation evoke feelings that vary from person to persons. These may be relaxation, entertainment, amusement, and revitalization. This group includes establishments primarily engaged in providing amusement, recreation, or entertainment on payment of a fee or admission charge. Symphony orchestra, ballet, and opera, membership sports and recreation clubs are examples of these. Shopping activities involve the retail sector of quality gift and souvenir shops. To make shopping as convenient as possible, many hotels provide shops featuring gift items, particularly local handicraft and artwork. Leisure is defined as freedom resulting from the cessation of activities, special time free from work or duties. It gives opportunities for recreation and entertainment. Recreation is revitalization and relaxation. It aims to relieve stress. Entertainment is amusement and diversion. It also aims to relieve stress. A variety of facilities offer people a means of amusement and diversion. These are amusement park, theme parks, resorts, casinos, cruise, dinner theater, spas, resort or amenity, spa cuisine, fitness club. The travel trade is made up of travel managers and tour operators, also referred to as intermediaries or middlemen, and the tour guides. Travel managers' functions acts as agents for the suppliers, but evolving to advisors for the traveler, earn fixed revenues predetermined by the suppliers, but evolving to transaction fee negotiated with and paid by the travelers, and lastly charge fees for documentation and ancillary services. While tour operators act as the middlemen to, and assemblers of the supplier's products and services, mark up on negotiated cost-based revenues that are variable but subject to market pricing elasticity, and lastly, sells optional products and services and makes use of deposits, capitalizes on cost savers. The figure 1 to 7 shows the basic differences between travel managers and tour operators. The tour operators are wholesalers since their business transactions are with the retail travel managers, who, in turn, sell to the travelers. In the Philippines, most tour operators occasionally trade directly with the travelers, making them both wholesalers and retailers. This is most evident with outbound tour operators. Tour operator contracts and purchases the separate travel components the suppliers or vendors, and assembles them into one package, which he/she sells to the travelers through the travel managers. By buying a number of individual components and packaging them into a single product, tour operators are seen as wholesalers, retailing their products through the travel managers. Travel managers' functions acts as agents for the suppliers, but evolving to advisors for the traveler, earn fixed revenues predetermined by the suppliers, but evolving to transaction fee negotiated with and paid by the travelers, and lastly charge fees for documentation and ancillary services. While tour operators act as the middlemen to, and assemblers of the suppliers' products and services, mark up on negotiated cost-based revenues that are variable but subject to market pricing elasticity, and lastly, sells optional products and services and makes use of deposits, capitalizes on cost savers. The figure 1 to 7 shows the basic differences between travel managers and tour operators. The tour operators are wholesalers since their business transactions are with the retail travel managers, who, in turn, sell to the travelers. In the Philippines, most tour operators occasionally trade directly with the travelers, making them both wholesalers and retailers. This is most evident with outbound tour operators. The other private sector entities include the members of the media, be it print, broadcast, audiovisual or electronic. The media plays an important role in the tourism industry as they perform the task of image making, in addition to the marketing aspects of media. The other entities are publishing companies, producers of electronic and printed news, feature articles, and advertising. Because tourism is so fast-changing, data must be read and kept up to date for intelligent counseling and management. ITC service providers, another vital group, are those who produce in electronic or printed form reference manuals, tariffs, guidebooks, atlases, timetables, and operational handbooks. Without these, no travel organization can function. Global Distribution Systems, GDS, and Computerized Reservations Systems, CRS, are part of this category. Marketing and public relations organizations, assistance in planning a publicity and sales campaign, selecting target markets, selecting media, providing market research, discovering new markets, and in the overall conduct of sales and marketing programs. Event organizers, for meetings, incentives, conventions, and exhibitions involved with tasks as negotiating hotel contracts, negotiating with airlines, writing contracts, planning meetings, seminars, incentives, budgeting, promotions, public relations, planning special events and post-meeting tours. Social media sites. Nowadays the social media sites such as Facebook and Twitter have made huge inroads in the image making, or breaking, as platforms to converse with a diverse number of individuals. Miscellaneous services provide essential services for tourism, insurance, hospital and medical services, police, sanitary trash collection and disposal services, laundry, construction, communications, and drug stores. Education and training institutions, encompassing both government and private sector, are the education and training institutions. These institutions are sources of talent for the different industries on the supply side. Among these are VOC-Tech schools, community colleges, four-year college and universities, trade associations, schools and institutes. Examples of subjects that are of value to travel and tourism-related firms are native and foreign languages, geography, history, use of computers, secretarial skills, bookkeeping, housekeeping, food and beverage services, food operation and preparation, and travel and tour services. Technical schools produce entry-level employees for travel agencies, tour companies, airlines, accommodations, and food service. The Tourism Congress is convened under R.A. 9593, Section 137, as amended, of the implementing rules and regulations. It serves as the private sector consultative body to assist the government in the development, implementation, and coordination of tourism policies, plans and programs. It is composed of representatives of accredited tourism enterprises from the private sector and former secretaries of tourism. The Tourism Congress is the source of private sector representatives to the board of the various aforementioned tourism-related government entities. It derives its composition from industry associations of primary and secondary tourism enterprises, allied and relevant enterprises duly registered with the Securities and Exchange Commission and accredited by the Department of Tourism.